Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Orphanlast, and welcome back to the Path Back to Opentoonz series here. I've been using two assistant tools in order to do the work here. I didn't want to add a third one, in that the more assistant tools that you have going on all at once, the more and more frustrating of an experience you're going to get. The computer's going to lag out even more and more and more, and I didn't want to deal with that. I deal with enough lag as it is without an assistant tool. This is playing at like 6 times the speed that I was actually going. If you watch the other videos, I'm freehanding things. Everything's going really quick, and the speed at which I'm going is much slower, and this is because of a number of reasons. I've actually, for one, one of the reasons is I'm working with the assistant tools, and this is supposed to be a final draft, and so it's supposed to look better. I'm supposed to be taking more of my time on everything that I'm making. Now, one thing that I have been doing throughout this entire week has been looking at graphics tablets. I don't know what type of tablet I've been using throughout this whole time, but other than I know it's part of the Graphire series. I think it's one of the last ones of the Graphire series, made by Wacom and everything like that. It's a good tablet and all, but the problem is if you're running it on Windows 10, you pretty much have to download a Bamboo driver in order to get it to work. So you have to download the wrong driver to get the wrong tablet to work on Windows 10, and so that's how I got my Graphire to work, and it's been really frustrating actually. The pen pressure, the pen pressure sensitivity always seemed pretty wonky. I was never getting the lines that I actually wanted, and it always felt like I was fighting with my graphics tablet. So then I thought, well, let's see what a cheap graphics tablet can do. Now the thing is that cheap. One thing that you have to keep in mind with graphics tablets is cheap is $100, by the way. You look at something like a Cintiq, and it can run you up to something like $6,000. You could spend $1,000, but the thing is, like, if you get a Cintiq or something that's $1,000, there's probably going to be this glass sheet that's going to be separating your stylus from the pixels, okay? Of course, there's going to have to be some sort of protective layer that's protecting the pixels from getting damaged from your stylus, of course, But the thing is, the thickness of that sheet's going to be not necessarily very accurate and everything like that. So you could put your stylus where it looks like it's supposed to be and then draw a line, and then the line's just not where it's supposed to be, because there's that separation, that slight distance, and while you're actually drawing it, even though it looks like your stylus is in the exact correct place, it's really not. It's the perspective, the distance that's throwing you off, kind of like an optical illusion. And so if you're going to buy a Cintiq, don't go cheap. Like, and I'm serious about that. Like, you get what you pay for when it comes to graphics tablets. So $100 is a cheap tablet, and I do recommend Wacom every single time. And that's not because Wacom's endorsing me at all. They're not. No one's endorsing me. Actually, all the product reviews, the book reviews, just all the things that I've done that recommend a product, I cannot get those videos monetized. It's just pure and simple. I'm not making any money when I say, hey, go out and buy this. This is really cool. And I don't know the reason why. I mean, yeah, I'm showing off a product and everything, but you would think that they'd be grateful that I'm saying, hey, buy this, but evidently not. Or whatever it is. I left a positive review on a book. You'd think that there'd be some sort of gratitude and, hey, yeah, you can have some monetization on that video. But oh well. Before I bought my new tablet that I'm using right now, I bought a Huion 420. I think that's how you pronounce it, at least. It costs $30. It's this tiny, 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 tiny tablet. And to be honest, it worked pretty good. The problem is that I'm used to working with a larger tablet and everything like that. This thing was small. And if you get the Huion 420, I would recommend getting the version of it that actually has buttons. I like having shortcut buttons. I don't like having to reach my hand up towards the keyboard very often. Yes, it's good to know the keyboard shortcuts and everything, and even to use them. I recommend using keyboard shortcuts. But the thing is that if you can put the keyboard shortcuts on shortcut buttons that happen to be placed on the actual tablet, you're going to be saving yourself a lot of time and a lot of frustration. So I like to use those buttons quite frequently, actually. And on the Huey on 420 that I had, it didn't have that, so I was constantly reaching up to my keyboard. And you know, that may seem like a minor frustration, but the thing is like I'm doing all of this on a laptop, okay? So this means I'm having to lean forward and keep my face really close to the screen in order for me to make a drawing, and it's not the healthiest thing for your eyes to have your face 2 feet away from a screen. So after playing around with that while making this drawing that you're looking at right now, I got so frustrated with the Huey on 420 tablet. Even though it's good, and it's every bit as good as my experience with the Graphire, I decided, well, you know, $100 isn't bad. I'll just go over to Best Buy and such and purchase a nice little graphics tablet. Now, I saw that this is the weird thing about Best Buy. You know, they'll sell something, and then they'll have a picture advertising another product, but they won't even be selling it inside of the store. I forgot what the one that they were advertising was, but it was a type of graphics tablet. Just one that sits on your desk and everything. And it has a little miniaturized screen, and that was $300. I would have bought it. But the thing is, it wasn't in the store, and I absolutely hate online shopping. I hate sitting there waiting for my product to come in. I purchased it. Why isn't it here? Oh my gosh, I just hate it. All the anticipation and everything like that. It's not an enjoyable experience at all. And they had two different tablets that were actually inside of the store. They had the Intuos Draw series and the Intuos Art series, okay? And I kind of looked at them, you know, the drawing series. I really don't know what the difference is, but, you know, the art series seemed a little bit more expensive. But really, just from what I got from reading the material on the box and everything like that, the Intuos Art was designed to simulate the feeling of a paintbrush, to simulate the feeling of actually putting your stylus or a pencil onto paper, or using charcoal or something like that. And by and large, I have to agree. This tablet really does feel like that. It really does. As for the Intuos Draw series of Wacom tablets, it just said that it simulates the experience of drawing perfectly. I don't know how effective or ineffective it is in comparison to the art series in terms of being able to paint, but I wanted to have something that was versatile, so I got the art series, because it's talking about painting, it's talking about using graphite and charcoal and things like that, and I really liked that idea, so I went ahead and stuck with it. And ever since I started using it, I really haven't been regretting the purchase. I really wish, though, that they had at least, you know, I think they were advertising a tablet that had a screen on it. It wasn't a Cintiq, but it was a tablet that had a screen on it. That's what they showed. But, you know, a lot of times the advertisements are misleading. You know, you actually look at the product and there is no screen on it. And so that, I don't know, it seems like if you're an artist and you're looking for a graphics tablet, you know, if it doesn't have a screen, you don't need to have it advertised as if it does have a screen, because that's misleading. That's the false advertising. So I don't know. I'm somewhat confused about that. I mean, are they still selling little graphics tablets that sit on your desk that have a screen on it? Do they? Because if they do, I want it. I mean, I don't necessarily need to have a Cintiq, but oh well. I already spent my $200 on this thing, so there we have it. So I just so that I could finish this picture here, guys, I purchased a graphics tablet. Now, keep in mind, it took me forever to purchase Bandicam, and it's like something like $40 or something. So this is big for me. This is something that I don't do very often. I don't have much money to be throwing around and everything like that. I'm just trying to get. I'm really just trying to get by. But yeah, like I think the most exciting part of this particular video is when I'm creating the brick on the upper portion of this building. You'll notice that every time that I get close to the center of the grid, closer to the horizon line, or basically closer to the east and west vanishing points or whatever, I have a lot of difficulty. I struggle a lot, and it's not because, you know, it's not. Basically, it's the assistant tool. It doesn't know how to interpret what I'm doing, and so a lot of times I'll just make a really long stroke on a layer that is completely separate from the rest of the picture, so that I can go ahead and make one really long, obnoxious stroke. That way I know that it covers the entire area that I want it to cover, and then I could just remove the rest. And that helps me out quite a bit. The thing is if you try to get it just exact and it's just ever so slightly off, it's really frustrating to try to freehand it, or to try to get the assistant tool to cooperate with you again, especially when you're within an inch or two. You see the rulers on the side, on the upper portion of my user interface, and on the just to the right of my tool panel, on the left side of the screen, you can see the rulers and stuff just around 2 inches near the center of the grid and everything. It does not understand any of the input that you're trying to put in with your stylus, and so you just have to try and try and try and try and try and try again and try again and try again until you finally get the line that you're actually going for. So you just need to be patient with it. You can't just rush through this. Here I noticed that the bottom portion of this window, the perspective was off. It was following the wrong assistant, and so I went ahead and redrew the line. And since it's on its own layer, I don't have to. Well, wait. Actually, I think I accidentally put it on the wrong layer, and so I had to delicately erase it. That's the thing. You have to make sure that it's on its own layer, so that you can just erase it without having to worry about any of the other stuff that you've drawn already. You don't want to tamper with any of it, and all that good stuff. Anyways, I'll speak up as soon as I have something more to say here. As you can see, I got a whole lot of layers going on all at once. You need to make sure that you either have them labeled or you understand what's going on in the layers palette at all times. Now you're going to see that the more and more distant I get from the center of my grid, the quicker and quicker and easier it becomes for me to draw these lines. It becomes so much easier, so much less of a headache. And since I did all my measurement lines and got all these windows all measured up, while I'm dealing with the frustration of the assistant tools, I don't have to worry too much about measuring things. Throughout this video, I have used the guideline layer every once in a while and created a little bit of a guideline here and there, especially when I was working with the sidewalk. But by and large, I really didn't have to do that very much, and that's because I made a really good sketch. Now for these windows, I created two layers. I created a layer for my vertical lines and a layer for my horizontal lines, and this made it so that it was really easy for me to erase stuff and not have to worry about erasing everything. Just stuff that happens to relate to whether or not it's horizontal or vertical. It takes a little bit more time to do it this way, but it takes a little bit of the headache away. And yes, a lot of what I'm doing in this video is pretty tedious, and a lot of times I just wanted to get up, make myself some toast, and just kind of sit there at the dinner table and just kind of calm down a little bit from all the monotonous material that I had to go through while drawing this. But you know, you just have to bear with it. If you have the hobby or the career of drawing something, you actually have to commit to actually finishing the project. You can't just walk away forever or walk away every time that you're frustrated. You have to sit down, buckle down, and get it done. So here's the most monotonous but the most interesting part of the video here. At this point I'm going to be working on the bricks, and I created with my sketch, like you saw me go through attempt after attempt after attempt inside of the process of sketching this, to just get these little columns just right. And eventually I did, and it made this whole process of actually making the final draft a lot better. Now, of course, I'm not done by the end of the video. I won't be done with this by the end of the next video either. What I am thinking about doing is creating, or basically making textures, finding textures, taking photos of them, and putting them into this image in order to make this look really nice. What I did here with all these horizontal lines that are just going everywhere is I created all the joints, basically the mortar in between each of the brick, and I lined it all up for every single brick. Okay, so that's what I was doing there, and now I'm just deleting all the horizontal lines that are exceeding past the point of where I want them. So here I noticed that I missed one particular top portion of a joint, and I'm just kind of cleaning things up. Alright, now that it's cleaned up, now I need to create the planes for the joints, and so I'm creating these internal vertical lines here. And then I'm getting rid of all the excess. Now masons, I am a stone-mason, by the way. Masons, when they create the joints, they use what's called a tuck pointer in order to kind of just kind of poke out the joints, kind of rake them back and everything. And then they use a wicker brush to kind of smooth out those joints. And so I needed to get rid of these little these lines, these little tiny portions of the lines for the brick, and define that yes, the joints are on a different plane. And now I'm creating basically the joints on going towards the northern vanishing point at this point, or the vanishing point that's currently working as the vanishing point. Because with cylindrical 4-point perspective, there is no true northern vanishing point. You just need to recognize that at any given point in time, any of the vanishing points can function as north. You just need to keep that in your mind and just be like, okay, in this area, this particular vanishing point is north, and etc., etc. I kind of covered that in my original video teaching cylindrical 4-point perspective. Once again, I'm creating joints that are going to the northern vanishing point. Creating the joint planes. And now I'm getting rid of the excess on the joint planes. Like 99% of these joint plane lines are being erased. So why is it that you would draw this enormous line for them? Well, you can go ahead and eyeball it all the way through in freehand, but the thing is that your joints are going to go in and waver in and out, in and out, in and out. You don't want that. Professional masons, they want to have their corners perfectly straight, every single one of their joints perfectly uniform. And so those two things right there are the marks of a true professional mason. So keep that in mind if you do masonry inside of your artwork. Alright guys, there's just a little bit more time inside of the video. Please feel free to watch. That pretty much concludes my narrative, and it pretty much concludes the video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe, and have a great day.